This next guest told me about a bulletproof athlete. What does that mean? We're going to find out next on Lunch with Friends.
This ain't no regular thing. Came for the ring, you know what I mean. I shoot my shot and it's clean. This is my city, yeah, this is my team. If you talking, it's hard to be nice. I play with all of my life. You see my name in the lights. Better get right, I'm champion. The game is in trouble. I've been in my depth for the piece of the puzzle. I got it for real. Still keep me going. I wake up and hustle. You won't see me buckle. I've been in the field, man of the town. You've been in your fields. I'm adjusting this crown. Call me your majesty. Either that or your tragedy. We shutting everything down. I've been hot like somebody put a candle on them. Off top, I don't really stand opponents. This mine. The moment is run out and start a bunch of pandemonium.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Lunch with Friends. We've got Justin Colter in the house, playing catch up from a long, we haven't had you on since you made the move to HWPO. So we've got a lot to catch up on. Rogue just happened. But before we got on the air, we were actually talking about, you were the first coach we ever had on this show. And we were trying to come up with the actual date that was.
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't know. Was it just after the games when Carey podiumed in 2020? Was it in 2021 when Underdogs, we had like Bethany and Danielle and Carey here, and I'm not sure.
It was before that because Kat and I came out to the West Coast Classic. We had dinner with you and Ash.
Yeah.
And we had already established a relationship before that. That was 21. You were in the backyard. I think you had just moved to Vegas.
Yeah, we moved to Vegas in July of 2020. So it could have been that. Yeah, it could have been 2020.
And we were probably talking about the COVID games with you and 5 athletes at the ranch and
in the bubble.
Yeah.
It's wild to think about all that's happened since then, man. So yeah, it's cool though. Happy that we're still buddies, man. It's good.
Yeah, it is. Love catching up with you at events, especially getting to hang out. We got to do that at the age group games this year.
Yeah. It was cool.
When you have athletes at the age group games and you have athletes at the elite games, what is the stress level difference, or is there none?
Honestly, the stress level at the age group games was crazy because I had 5, so I was running around like a nut job. Between having a teen and then different divisions in the Masters, I was nuts. And then I got so sick. I don't know if I got COVID or flu or whatever, but I the last night prior to the final day, I started feeling it. And then when I flew home, I had like 103 fever and I was in bed for 3 days. And yeah, it was terrible. But
I had pneumonia that week.
Yeah, that was rough. But I think in general, I mean, listen, I think the stress of the games is, for everybody is pretty high. But obviously, as a coach, you're trying to help your athletes do the best they can, right? So I think stress level, if you're giving it your all, is always going to be high. So that kind of comes with this job, and that's my favorite thing though, man. In-person coaching is my favorite. I think there are a lot of great programmers in this space. But being a great game day coach, I think takes a lot. And I've been doing it forever, 16 years of doing this at a high level. I feel like that's definitely a strength of mine.
You mentioned the teen athlete.
Yeah.
The teen athlete became the talk of the town.
Yeah.
At the age group games because she outlifted, I think, all but maybe one person in the adult age group.
She did. She did. She outlifted everyone but Christine Middleton, who I also coach. It was in the 35 to 39 division. And obviously, if people know Christine Middleton, Zioli, they know that she has been one of the strongest female CrossFitters for a long time. But yeah, Talia, who you're referring to, the 14-year-old I was coaching, hit a clean and jerk of 260, which is pretty outrageous. And she's just getting better and better. She's 14 and she finished 6th, so she can do other things besides just lift. And I think coming into this season, she's definitely going to be one of the favorites in that division to win the games in the 14-15 division. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
So the big question is, you've moved to HWPO. We know Alex went with you.
Yeah.
How many of your athletes went with you? Did you lose any in the process?
Yeah. No, we didn't lose any. All of them came. So, it's been great, Scott. I gotta be honest with you. I know that we put out a few videos on reasons why, and obviously kind of discussed a little bit of it on Coffee Pods and Watts. I think the week after, and have been very open to kind of discussing the reasons why, and between the diagnosis of a rare kidney disease with my daughter Ivy, just a lot of changes as far as coaches and athletes and things. And I think part of it was just I didn't want to have to do a lot of the back end work anymore with running a business. I really wanted to focus on the things that I love, prioritize coaching, prioritize my family, and HWPO has just been amazing. I had a very strong relationship with several people in HWPO prior to, and now that I've gotten to know the entire team, I just, I feel so good about the decision that I made. I feel like a weight's been lifted as far as just having to do a lot of the stuff that I no longer love to do, running a business, and being able to really focus on coaching, being able to come in and work with a team, of just fantastic and intelligent individuals, and feel like I'm being supported by a crew has been awesome, man.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're a coach. You didn't get into this to be a business person, and you were. Our talks off the record at the age group games were about like that you needed to find something that made you happy and that gave you the time to spend with your family.
Yes,
and
100%.
And you didn't tell me what that was, but just that you needed to find a way to make that work better. And so
yeah,
that you were able to do that.
Yeah, we were in kind of like the final stages of finalizing things, and I know I had hinted to you that there might be some news coming, and I tell you, man, like, listen, I'm so proud of what we were able to create with Underdogs, and obviously the reputation that grew from that, and all of the accolades and the athletes' accomplishments. Because really, it's not about me. It's not about that. It's about helping athletes reach their potential, right? And if you do that, then everything kind of comes back to you tenfold, and about how you treat people and your reputation. I feel like we did all those things very well. And I feel very proud about how we did it. But, this opportunity allows me to do, really focus on the things that I love, and to do it with people that I really, really like. And it also, it's cool. It's kind of like reinvigorated me, and it's incredibly motivating to come in and I'm trying to push us to the top of the hill, and we had a fantastic showing at Rogue, and I'm excited about that. And we're just going to continue to move forward. And I have a lot of things that I'm going to be doing for HWPO, and, starting their individual coaching program, which will be launching soon. And we're bringing in some incredible coaches, a lot of them who I was really lucky to work with at Underdogs, and so it's just great, man. It's a great situation. I'm excited, and so it's good.
On the flip side of the transfer over to HWPO, they were an entity that I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Matt may not have wanted to be the coach. It was this idea that he wanted to start, and really he's the guy that it seemed like from the video, especially with Alex, he wants to be that guy that comes in and just kind of assists. Right?
I think so. Yeah. I think he understands that he has a lot of knowledge to impart, right? I mean, when you're the most decorated individual male athlete ever, right? I mean, he's won the most individual titles. obviously you have a lot to offer and a lot to give as far as inside knowledge is concerned. But I think that with him having a 2-year old and a 4-month old, and with him really enjoying that part of his life right now, being a father, he's looking at it wherever he can help give guidance. I think he's and so us going to Vermont and us being able to spend that time with him and to see him kind of, you could see a little bit of that light starting to shine where he was, getting the juices flowing as far as, kind of watching Alex. And I really, Alex has to listen to me every single day, right? Like she's here in Vegas. We're together all the time. I really wanted to go there and just shut up and kind of sit back and let him watch and do his thing. And I think it's very important to surround yourself with other perspectives and other coaches who are incredibly knowledgeable. And, we'll do that obviously with other coaches here that we'll get to work with. But yeah, it was really great. I think for her, it was even more exciting to kind of spend time with him and his family. They had never really spent time before. She got to spend time with the kids and hang out with Eddie and Pearl and Sammy. And, we did a bonfire and just hung out, and it was great, man. So it'll be nice to travel sometimes to Vermont. Hopefully next time it'll be a little warmer. But yeah, it's been great. And I think she's really enjoying it as well.
And from their perspective, that you give them an instant face of the program, of the coaching aspect of the program, and your resume speaks for itself, what you've done with elite athletes. And so you take two entities that were trying to compete against these big boys like Mayhem and Proven, and together, Underdogs and HWPO kind of coming together makes you guys competitive in that realm to some degree.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think so. I think, listen, I think as far as a business is concerned, I think HWPO is, more than competes, obviously. I mean, they have an incredible, business model. But I think, I think when it comes to the elite roster, I don't think that it's wrong to say, like in the last year or so, right, that they've taken a noticeable dip. And I think, one of the things that I was brought in to do is to help bolster that. But we're going to do it a little bit differently. I think in the last few years, you've seen camps. And honestly, we did this at Underdogs, where sometimes, people want to join and they're excited, and you're just like, okay, come on board. And before you know it, you have all these athletes that are pinned against each other, fighting for the same spots. I don't know that that's necessarily the best model. And we're going to be incredibly selective, and our goal is going to be to work as coaches, for the collective good, and to push our athletes and to help them maximize their potential without creating a situation where we're just pinning them all against each other. And that, listen, that may work for another camp. And I'm not saying that that's, that what I'm saying is right or wrong. I'm just saying that I think it's a little bit of a different philosophy. And I'm excited to slowly build it into where, our goal is obviously going to be to create champions, not to just have 5 million athletes in the elite division, right? Like that's the goal, is going to be to create champions, and to help maximize those athletes' potential. It's not going to just be like, how many athletes did you have at the games? No, I'm not too interested in that. I'm more interested in how are they doing at the games? How are they doing at semifinals? How are they doing at, these competitions? And I think we're going to look to do that in all divisions. We're going to look to do that in the elite division, and then obviously in the age group divisions as well. So anywhere where we can find competitive athletes who are interested, who are a good fit for us, that's something that we're going to be looking at.
I know you're still in the honeymoon phase, but it sounds like that this is better than you anticipated this transition to be.
I can't tell you how, everyone's going to be like, well, what else? Of course that's what he's going to say. No, It's been phenomenal. It really has been. I'm excited. I'm motivated. I feel like I said, like a weight, a little bit of a weight was lifted off. Just as far as, kind of doing everything for the business, and having that ability to be able to focus, having a role, being able to work with a team. It's been great, and also just being around people that I find to be, incredibly good at what they do, in all aspects. We had 4 coaches deep at Rogue, and every one of them is just great, and having those meetings each day, about events and being able to bounce ideas off each other and all those things. I mean, that's awesome. The last year or two with underdogs, a lot of times I was by myself. And you just, that's not for me, that I just didn't love that feeling. I like being part of a team. I like being, part of a crew. I like being able to work with people who have great minds, for the sport. And, the ability to be able to do that now, man, is really, really motivating.
So, oh gosh, can you remember where I was going to go now? I
Rogue?
wanted to go to Rogue eventually, but there was something else I wanted to jump into. Oh yeah. So the reason I asked you on is Wednesday you jumped in our chat.
Yeah.
I've been beating this horse all week.
Yeah.
There's this narrative out there that Laura is avoiding Tia.
That's ridiculous.
Opposite.
So ridiculous.
That Laura is looking for the opportunity to beat Tia because that would solidify her greatness. If she could get that win in a major competition, that would help her tremendously. And there's this big narrative that she's trying to avoid that. You jumped in to say there's no way that woman is afraid of anybody.
No, Laura's not afraid of anybody. Laura does what Laura wants to do. That's what people need to understand. Whether they like it or not, that's up to them. You're allowed to have your opinion. You're allowed to, talk shit about people. That's on you. You can say whatever you want. She doesn't give a shit. She's going to live her life. She's going to do what she wants to do. She's going to compete where she wants to compete. And that's her. And whether you like her or not, that's fine. That's up to you, but Laura ain't afraid of anything. I mean, she's a fucking monster. She's great. I mean, she has been for what, 6-7 years. 2018, I think, was 2018 European semifinals, where people are like, "Who the hell is this?" I think she was 21 at the time.
Took second at the games that year.
Yeah, I mean, she was incredible, and obviously, what she's done in the sport speaks for itself. I mean, she's CrossFit Games champion. She's won Rogue a couple times. I mean, she is who she is, and she beats her own drum. And I've always liked Laura. She and I have always gotten along, and she's allowed to do what she wants. I mean, This is a free fucking country, or I should say, this is the sport allows you to do what you want to do. You can compete where you want to compete, I don't think she needs to apologize to anybody, and anyone who thinks she's afraid of anybody is nuts.
You can't be as good as she is and be afraid of anyone.
That's crazy.
You just can't. You can't be in the 0.0001% of the world in something and be afraid.
No, she's not. She's definitely not. She's one of the best who's ever competed in this sport without question. She's top 5 for sure. I mean, Tia is Tia. There'll probably never be another Tia, right? But there's Laura's really, really good, and one of the best to do it. And trust me, she's not afraid of anybody.
A couple of years ago, you introduced this term to me, the bulletproof athlete, right?
Yeah.
And I want you to explain what that is, but in my opinion, there's only ever been 2 in the sport.
I agree.
1 man, 1 woman.
Yep. There's only been 2. Bulletproof athlete is essentially where programming doesn't matter. You show up at a competition and you're going to win no matter what. Matt Frazier and Tia Claire Toomey. Hey, what's up, dude? Matt Frazier, Tia Claire Toomey are the two bulletproof athletes and the only two. And people will say Rich. Go back and look at events, especially when Rich was an individual. There were a lot of events that he struggled in. He wasn't good at. Wasn't a great runner. Wasn't a good swimmer. Wasn't great going long. You know, he was incredible. Don't get me wrong. I mean, anybody who says he's not, I mean, I think what made Rich so endearing was the fact that like he always had to make those, you know, third day, fourth day pushes to win. And he always did. No one has been more clutch than Rich. I would say he's the most clutch athlete that there has ever been in CrossFit. And obviously he proved that as well on the team side. And he's the most decorated, you know, when you combine the two. But as far as bulletproof individual athletes, where it does not matter, the programming doesn't matter, you know, they were going to come and just wipe everybody up. There's only been two, and that's Tia and Matt. And as a coach, you know, your goal obviously is to try to get someone to that level. And it's not easy. You know, generally speaking, there's going to be a weakness, right? And for most people, that weakness is something that tends to carry on for their entire career. Maybe they improve a bit, but the problem is that the field also improves and the numbers get better. So you know, you don't see that they improve, right? And so as a coach, that's our, you know, that's what we're striving for. We're striving to create bulletproof athletes where it doesn't matter what comes up in the programming. And right now I would say, you know, other than Tia, there are no bulletproof athletes in the sport currently. Tia is the only one. And anytime she's not in the field, you're going to see that whoever wins, it's extremely programming dependent, which I think makes it really exciting, right? I mean, like it's pretty cool that way. But yeah, that's what a bulletproof athlete is.
Well, I think on the men's side, it's evident. Like the leaderboard changes after every event, like because of that exact fact. But back to Laura just for 1 second. She has one hole.
Yep.
She has one hole. She's as close to bulletproof other than Tia there is right now.
100%.
And I would argue that she could beat Katrin or Annie in their prime because of that, because she has one hole. Unless that event comes up 3 times, she's going to deliver.
Agreed.
Let's move to Alex now.
Yep.
Your job, you told me this theory like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You have been working to make Alex bulletproof.
Yeah.
Where are we at on that path?
Well, listen, I think you started to see that we were making good headway, right? I mean, look at first WFP, which I would say is the one WFP where you got everybody's best, right? I mean, I think it was a little bit different, the first one, comparatively to what we saw with 2 and what we're going to see with 3, because the season had already started. The games had happened. Now Rogue has happened. People are beat up, and I'm not sure what we're going to see in the third one. But in that first one, she won comfortably with Laura in the field. You know, yeah, programming is massive. I agree. Yeah, 100%. Programming is incredibly important, especially with the field nowadays, you know, like I said, because we don't have bulletproof athletes in the field. I would say that obviously with, you know, I mean, look at Alex's 3 competitions this year, and one of them just happened after a major accident / injury that we weren't sure wasn't going to be career ending. She won against, you know, the best women's field that we've seen this year, excluding Tia. She then, you know, handled NorCal pretty easily, and then just came in second at Rogue with everyone in the field except for Tia and Amy Kringle. So, you know, but beat Amy Kringle at the first WFP. Um, that being said, she's not bulletproof, and we're working towards that. Um, you know, I would say that right now she's in that discussion of, top 3, top 4 in the world without question. It's shocking to me listening to a lot of the post rogue stuff. I'm listening to the analysts, and most of them are talking not giving her much credit, which is wild. It just makes me laugh. Like, she got cleared to do everything 5 weeks ago and goes to rogue and got second really comfortably. But people are talking about everybody else. So it's fine. We use that shit as motivation. We know what we need to do. There's no doubt in my mind she has the highest trajectory of anyone. That's behind the, you talk about Tia and then Laura, and there's no doubt in my mind she has the highest trajectory. And she's just turned 24. So, you have to take into account the last 5 months. Without question, she was not 100% at Rogue, as far as, just as far as where we are after the injury. I'd say she's 80%, maybe 85. Definitely not where we need to be squat volume wise. And you could see that in the back squat workout and the overhead squat workout where she struggled. And we knew that going in. We knew, like, okay, if there's going to be a couple workouts that have really heavy squat volume, we got to manage those. Like, those are workouts. If we can middle there, we know you're going to hit home runs in a couple of workouts.
So how hard is that when that's typically a strength for her?
Yeah.
Minus the injury, like, she can squat great. Now all of a sudden,
100%.
Because of the injury, it's become a weakness temporarily.
Yeah, it's just temporary. Give us a couple months, that by February, March, that'll be back to a strength. Like, that workout would be a top 3, that back squat workout. Overhead squat workout, I think she probably, it would have probably been in 5th, 6th, somewhere around that. But she's just long. She has really long femurs, so her squat cycle time is not going to be. But the thing about it is right now that the volume squatting just takes a little bit more out of her because we haven't had a chance to do it. I was very cautious going into row because I wanted her body to feel good. I didn't want to. It was like when we got cleared to be able to squat, it wasn't like, oh yeah, now we're going to kill you with squat volume. No, that wasn't the case. It was like, okay, let's make sure you feel good going into row. That's the most important thing. But yeah, I think, she's becoming a much better runner. She's still, I would say she's upper middle in running. That's the key, Scott, to me. If we can make, and I believe she's built for it, I think she can be a great runner. I think if she can be a top 5 runner, she'll have a period of dominance in the sport. I think she'll win the games multiple times. If she doesn't get to that level, then I think she'll be in the mix still, but I think it'll be much more programming dependent. But I think if we can, and you saw that with Jeff Adler. Jeff Adler was on the brink, and then all of a sudden Jeff Adler became like the best runner or top 2 in the sport. And then all of a sudden you saw, like, bam, wins the games, bam, wins rogue. Like, he just, he became the guy. I think when Jeff is healthy, he's probably still the guy, but in general, I think that's what we're going to see with Alex. I think if we can get to that level, I don't think she needs to be the best because she's got more home runs. But I think if you go from being the 10th to the 5th or the 4th or the 3rd, she's going to be real tough to beat.
How much development was stunted in the running aspect with the accident?
Well, she wasn't able to run for 4 months. So a lot.
Did she lose any ground? Like, do we have to go back, or is it just pick up where you left off?
I probably took a step back. But we were able to really work hard on her conditioning with machines, machines and swimming. We were able to really work hard. And so I think we were able to keep a lot of her capacity. But anyone will tell you, you can't, like, yes, you can keep your conditioning, impeccable, but you got to run. You want to be a really good runner, you got to run. And she wasn't able to do that for almost 4 months. So yeah, we took a little bit of a hit there. But again, I feel very confident that, where she's at now and where her body's feeling that's gonna come back fast. And then obviously, it's going to continue to improve. That's number one, probably number one, number two, and number three on the list of priorities.
So, she was on the Savon podcast right before Rogue.
Yep.
And she was talking about how she wanted to be able to squat without pain. That was her main concern going into the event. I know that mindset has been a big thing that you guys have been working on for years. And I think she was getting to that point where her confidence was growing to a level that it needed to be great.
Yeah.
How much of that has regressed during the car accident, or is it just learning what the body is when the body comes back to full strength?
I actually think it's progressed, not regressed. I think her mindset was the best I've seen it ever at Rogue. I think she understands how good she is. And I think she understands that even events that aren't great for her are still going to be pretty good compared to the field. And I also think that she looks at things now in a little bit of a different way. I think there's an incredible amount of gratitude for being able to do the things that she's able to do, to have a working body, to be able to, the fact that she gets to do this, not that she has to do this. And I think prior to the injury, even at WFP, at NorCal, there was a lot of weight on her shoulders because of expectations. I think there was a lot of pressure. And I think the way that I think there was a lot of anxiety, and I could tell that there were a lot of times that she wasn't having a lot of fun in the gym, on the competition floor. I think she was very stressed out because of the weight of expectations. And I think after the accident, I think there's been a complete shift in mindset, which is that, man, this is like, I get to do this. This is stuff that people dream about, and the fact that like I was able to get through what I was able to get through, the fact that I'm able to compete and travel the world and make money and be a professional athlete. And that's something that I will never take for granted again, because it was almost taken away from me. I think that's the mindset now. And I've, obviously, listen, you're going to be stressed, and Rogue was hard, bro. I feel like this is one of the hardest competitions they've had to do in a long time. I think the workouts were really challenging. I think anytime you travel to another country, sleep's not going to be great. Food's not, your stomach's messed up, all those kind of things. I think all those things are a challenge, but mentally, she was so excited to be back on the floor. I think she was incredibly grateful. And I also think that, she understands, like, hey, I did this after not being able to train full out, for 4 months. We had basically 5 weeks full go prior to this, and I still was able to achieve what I was able to achieve. Like, I know I can do so much more. I know I can be that much better. And I've heard her say in the last couple months things that I've never heard her say before. I've heard her say things like best in the world, win the games, stuff that I think she was afraid of talking about before. I don't think she's afraid of it anymore. I think she recognizes that it's realistic. And I think it's very powerful when an athlete starts to go to that place and recognize that that's possible. That's very, very powerful, because I think until you talk about it and put it out there, then you don't really believe it. But I think she believes it now. And that's exciting.
Well, speaking of that, there was a post that was made on Instagram by Tia talking about her leader's jersey.
Yeah.
And Alex commented that I'm coming for it.
That was fucking great. I had no idea she was going to do it. And when she did it, I called her immediately, and I was like, who are you? I was like, what the hell? This is so out of character. And I love every second of it.
It caught me off guard.
Yeah,
I had to double check that it was her that said it.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
And I could see you saying we're coming.
No, I know. Yeah.
I never thought that she would jump in and say that.
I had absolutely no idea she was going to do it. And somebody actually like texted me and was like, did you see what Alex said? Yeah, I was very surprised. It was out of character, and obviously she's messing around. But you know,
There's
I think
always
the
truth to that.
yeah,
It's
100%,
it's still
right? There's
smack
truth in
talking whether
jest.
you're in jest
Yeah,
or not.
I loved every second of it, and listen, we're under no illusion that, she's better than Tia. Tia's the best to ever do it. I also feel like and hindsight's 2020. I feel very confident that Alex would have done some really special things at the games if she was healthy. I think she would have won some events, and I think she would have pushed Tia in places that no one else was able to do it. And but I can say that until I'm blue in the face, and people can either agree or people can be like, "Yeah, whatever. She wasn't there. You can't say that shit." That's fine. I've been doing this a long time, and I know what people can and can't do. And there were events there that were massive home runs, and not just one, multiple.
The hardest thing about making that comparison right now is that bulletproof thing, right? Tia never finishes low enough to get people in between.
100%
She just never
correct.
does.
Nope, she never does. She doesn't have a weakness. So, and honestly, the one event where she did was the pegboard, which was extenuating circumstances. If that is equal across the board and you've got pegboards that aren't slippery, there's no chance that Tia finishes 16th. I think she finished 16th. She's very good at pegs. So, in that field, she's top three, at worst top five. So there's another event she wins by even more. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's no doubt, she's I mean, she is who she is. Um,
Train Olive, confidence of her coach rubbing off on Alex. Love it.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's confidence in me or just the fact that, like, when you start to see yourself being able to do things and you start to see yourself in fields against the best in the world, and you're able to do what you're able to do, I think that's the thing that really reinforces confidence. I've been talking about this for a while, that I felt like she could get to here. And I think for a while she was like, shut up, like, you're making this worse for me, because if I don't go out there and do it, people are going to be like, she's mid, but she's backing it up. So it's good.
So going back to when you first made a name kind of in the CrossFit space with Carrie.
Yeah.
Carrie was like the great American hope to podium at the games, because we had a long stretch where the Americans had not reached the podium.
Yeah.
Now with Alex, we're not talking podium. We're talking championship.
Yeah.
Do you feel a difference between the two?
You mean between Carrie and Alex?
Yeah, like in their careers at the times that they were in their prime.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think Carrie is someone you can look at and say, nobody ever got more out of what they were given, like God-given ability. Nobody got more out of what they had than Carrie did. She was robotic in approach, and I say that in the best way possible. Like, Carrie was like this no matter what. You would never know if things were going well, if things were going badly. There were no highs and lows. She was the most emotionally and mentally tough athlete I've ever been around. She had the same routine every single day. She ate the same things every single day. She went to sleep the same time, woke up the same time, never missed training sessions, there was never drama. There were never highs and lows. I mean, it was wild to see, and there's never been anyone that I've coached in 16 years who was like that. She just was different. But Carrie had physical limitations, that I think prevented her from, being in a position where you could say, like, oh, she's going to win the games. Right. She was 5'2". She wasn't a very strong squatter. She wasn't a great runner. She maximized those things though. She did the best that she could possibly do, with those things, and obviously became one of the best in the world and one of the most decorated American females to ever do it. Alex is a little bit different. She doesn't have those physical limitations. She's built like a brick shit house. She's 5'6". She's 160 pounds. She's brute strong. I think she has the capacity to be a much better runner, than Carrie ever was. I think she's got just as many or more home runs. I mean, Carrie had home runs when it came to obviously handstand push-ups and, anything that came with pressing. Obviously, Alex has that, but it's even a little bit stronger. I think very different as far as just mentality and lifestyle and those types of things. Alex is just never going to be the way Carrie was as far as, like I said, as far as approach is concerned. She does a lot of other things that she likes to do. Her life does not revolve around CrossFit. It just doesn't. That's just as much as I would, want her to be more obsessed. She's not. And maybe that type of balance is why she hasn't gotten burned out like a lot of the young athletes that we've seen over the last few years. But what I do think, though, is that I think she wants to be the best that she can be. And she works hard and she works her butt off. And I think now that she understands that she has a chance to be the best in the world at some point, that motivation is very strong and powerful for her. So very, very different athletes, very different mindsets, very different as far as approach is concerned, very different habits, but both athletes that have, become part of my family and athletes that as a coach, you hope you get one of those in your career. I've been able to get two, and feel pretty damn lucky to get that,
Yeah. And the one thing they have in common is they both have home runs that are out of this world. And Train Olive points out, if people don't remember Carrie's Mary performance, they won't understand.
Just go watch Atlanta. I usually don't want to talk about someone who's as tough as it gets. Carrie would raise, her level when the workouts would get harder and when the situation was more challenging and tougher, and you just had to endure, and she was able to do that. She was able to pull out her best stuff in those times, and that's not easy. That's not easy as an athlete, yeah, she was amazing for sure.
So on another subject, you've been around the sport a very long time.
Yep.
We have the earliest release of information going into a season maybe ever.
Do we though?
Well, we have a structure.
Yeah, we do. You're right. I think
we know when the Open is. We know when quarterfinals are. We know when this series of semifinals are. How that all works, I don't know.
And does that all stay the same if sale goes through and the owners come in and want to change it, right? Like
I didn't want to get into the sale thing. That was my next piece, but
yeah. I think there's a lot of stuff that that we're saying is. I think right now a lot of it's in pencil. I know you like to do pencil, pen, Sharpie, I think that's still pencil. I don't think that it's pen or Sharpie yet. I think that just depends on the sale. It'd be awesome if we knew it and that was definite, but I don't know that that's the case.
What really sucks is it's the first time in a few years that I've been optimistic that someone's finally listening to some of the feedback, like getting information early. And all of it may not even matter because of the sale.
Yeah.
Right.
100%. Yeah.
Finally, you're getting it and you want to be optimistic about that, but it's hard to be overly optimistic because you don't know when the shoe's going to drop.
Yep. Yeah. I think we're all in the same boat. I think we're all like that's looming. And, we don't know, I guess it's one of those things where we could get news any day that something is dropped and then it's like, okay, like now what's happening, and you and I have no control over that whatsoever.
And then the other thing is the WFP tried to be an alternative.
Yeah.
Not sure it met the expectations it needed to be that.
Yeah.
I don't think it holds the illustriousness of the championship that the game still holds at this point.
For sure. Yep.
Rogue is awesome.
Awesome.
It's not the games.
No.
And it never will. And I don't think Katie and Bill want it to be.
No, I don't think they want it to be. I think they have a very clear understanding of what it is. It is absolutely an elite event. It's one of the elite events in our sport, but it's a showcase. It's a great way for them to showcase their brand as well. And it's a great way for them to challenge the athletes in many different ways that we don't get to see at the games. Still an incredible competition, but yeah, I would say different than the CrossFit Games for sure.
Well, Katie said herself, they're not there to find the fittest.
Yeah.
They're there to showcase the athletes.
Meanwhile, you still got to be pretty damn fit to finish in the top 5. Like, you got to be pretty awesome no matter what. Yeah. But yes, correct.
Yeah, but that is not their goal going in.
No.
And because of that. So here we are. Yeah. And those are probably the big 3 events during the year. We have WFP, we have the CrossFit Games season, we have Rogue.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got Wadapalooza, but a lot of people, that's just like a measuring stick.
Yeah, if you look at the fields too at Wadapalooza the last 2 years, that I would say the individual fields have certainly not been, comparable to the fields we saw in WFP, the games and Rogue for sure. Yeah, for sure. Now maybe it will be this year. I don't know. Could be, because my understanding is the prize purse is going up, and
But it happens during the CrossFit Games season, and it's part of the CrossFit Games season.
Correct.
Open 26-3 will be done as an individual event for everybody there.
Correct. And we don't really know what's going to happen with WFP next year. We don't know the type of, how many events, the participation, all those things. I still think you get everybody in a room, the games, the WFP, Rogue, Wadapalooza, you get those, you try to get everybody in a room and you put together a really incredible comprehensive season, that incorporates everything. That would be my dream eventually. I don't think it's going to happen for next year. But that would be, what I would love to see. And maybe the new owners can facilitate that. I don't know. But we'll see.
We have Wadapalooza and the games now in the same room, which we've never had before.
Yeah.
Right. But again, what does that mean if there's a sale?
I don't know.
All these steps that are being taken. You're like, yes, finally.
Yeah.
But what does it mean?
Yeah. I don't know, Scott. I don't know. I don't know.
The question is, where do we stand? Like, you have this athlete that could be a multi-year champion.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah.
But the uncertainty as to how does she display that is out. And so how do you deal with that as a coach, a friend, a mentor with her, or do you just keep moving straight ahead like everything's going to be the same?
You keep moving. I think that at this point in time, we've established that we are going to have opportunities to showcase her fitness, right? And the athletes will have opportunities to showcase their stuff. This past season, they had opportunities to showcase it a lot, probably too much, right? I think we all went into the season looking at it like, what's going to happen? Is it going to work? I certainly went into it saying, hey, let's give it a shot, see where we're at. And I think one of the major things that I look at, from this past season is that as a coach with a young athlete who you feel is not yet reached their peak, right? They still have room to build. You have to find time for them to train to get better, not just train for maintenance during the season. And basically what I mean by maintenance is you're just maintaining what you got so that you can go and compete. and you compete, and then you deload, and then you maintain, and then you compete, and then you deload, and then you compete. You know what I mean? Like you're doing this, it's this dance of, train, taper, compete, deload, train, and you never have time to get better because you're just making sure the body is okay to compete. That's what we saw this past year. And in a lot of cases, it didn't work. You saw people's, you saw their performance really dip in a lot of cases. I'm very curious to see who shows up next month. I don't know,
Yeah.
I really don't. I'm not sure. I think, yeah, I think you could see significant dropouts. I think it's possible. I hope not, but who knows? I don't know. I think a lot of people are thinking about, how do I train to get better? How do I train to be ready for next season? And so I'm not sure, man. I don't know what the answer is, except for the fact that it's my job to put my athlete in the best position to succeed in the events that they consider to be the most important events for them during the year. And we will have discussions, and I obviously have opinions on those things, but ultimately this is their career and their decision, right? I'll be dead honest with you. I don't know what the date is right now. Maybe 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago, I was definitely leaning against Alex doing Rogue. I didn't think we had done the volume necessary to be ready for a competition of, that is that challenging and that demanding on the body. And I was nervous to put her in a position where perhaps her body would break down. I just wasn't I didn't feel great about it. And then all of a sudden, like she got healthy where she wasn't having any pain, and we were able to make like about a 4-week push to where I was like, okay, I don't know that she'll win or even podium, but I think she's able to go and do well enough that this is going to be a positive. And I think in her mind, she had her mindset. She wanted to do it no matter what. Obviously, she did great and performed extremely well, but it was very touch and go without question. I would say even 5-6 weeks ago, I was having something that was keeping me up at night. Yeah, I know, dude. I know it is. It's crazy.
How insane is that?
Listen, she's a freak. I don't think she gets damn near enough credit from the powers that be. I mean, it's wild to me. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know what next season looks like. But I think a lot of the athletes are going to have to really sit and evaluate, what is it that they want? What are the things that if you are looking to make a living and you're trying to make money and you have a great opportunity to do that right now in the sport. It's pretty great. Like you have the opportunity to show up at a lot of places, be able to make money. If that's your priority, then that opportunity is out there for you. I'm looking at it from a slightly different perspective. When you have an athlete that, in my opinion, that's this good, you have to look at it from two perspectives. Yes, obviously she's looking to make a living. And did even missing the games, did extremely well in earnings this year. If you look, right, 30K at first WFP, 30K at NorCal, 80K at Rogue. 3 competitions, did extremely well, right?
Yep.
But to me, I'm looking at not just where can we go to make money. I'm looking at what do we need to do for her legacy and her career and putting her in the best position to be in the discussion as best in the world. And ultimately at the end of her career, the goal is to be one of the best of all time. I mean, that to me, if I didn't look at it that way, I'm doing a disservice to her because I just think she could be that good. And so for me, I have to prioritize and look at the season in a way that's like, how do I look at it in a way that I can help her perform her best, peak for, a couple of those big competitions where we're making money, but also we're putting her in the best position to, continue to that push to be the best in the world, and also for longevity, right? We want her to be in the sport a long time. I don't want to set her back, by just smashing her the entire season. So there's a lot of things to consider, man. I feel like at this point with Alex.
So I listen to Boys Interrupted because it's a way to get an idea of what an athlete thinks, right?
Yeah.
It's athletes talking to athletes.
Yeah.
And we don't get to peer in on that very often.
Yeah.
We're the only ones that have really maintained a podcast where that has allowed us to take a peek inside. They seem to be questioning the volume of the year. James Sprague has said, I have no time to do any cycles of anything.
Yeah.
And that has to change. You did something last year that was kind of different from everybody else. And that was, you didn't do the online semi.
No.
You did the very last in-person semi.
Yep.
And you were like, hey, in the old days, you got one shot. We're taking our one shot at NorCal.
Yep.
She's good enough to get her spot there.
Yep.
And we're not putting that extra stuff on her.
Yeah.
Are those the decisions you're talking about?
Yeah, 100%. I think so. I think you're looking at this, you're looking at the season in a way, that you say to yourself, okay, we know that, you can really only peak certain amount of times, right? Until again, Scott, you get to the point where you're just bulletproof and you're just that good, and you don't even need to be peaking. You can show up at a competition and still kick everybody's ass, right? Like that's the goal eventually. Eventually you get to the point where it's like, it don't matter, right? Like you go and you still kick everybody's butt. Yeah, for sure. I felt like the beginning of the season, you saw people chasing spots, right? You saw people online semis, multiple semis, like just baiting each other down. By the time they got to an in-person semifinal, they were destroyed already. Like even prior to the beginning of the season. I think, we also didn't do Wadapalooza, I mean, like, I think I think you've got to look at things and you've got to assess it and you got to figure out what's best for your athlete. And that doesn't necessarily mean just signing up for everything. I think that's a disservice to them. So,
and one of the coolest events of the year, I would say, is Wadapalooza SoCal. I love that team kind of aspect, the old invitational type of thing, but dang, like you're getting no rest right after the games.
And anybody who doesn't think that those athletes are putting out, oh my gosh, you're going to put out even more in some cases because you're accountable to your team. You don't want to be the one who lets anybody down. So that's another thing that's not a break in the season, and I don't know, man. I think we're in a situation where, you really have to consider all things but you also have to consider where you are, like as an athlete in the sport, those types of things. I think a lot of those goes into your decision. What's important to you, right? Like what ultimately is important to you. So yeah, I think it's cool that we have a lot of, opportunities as far as competition is concerned. I wish things were I wish people would talk and communicate so we could make things a little bit more cohesive, because I am assuming they won't be. Again, I'm assuming it'll be a situation where, if you decide to do everything, you're going to be in a really tough spot. I don't know. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but I know that it's my job to help my athlete and athletes in general, whoever that person is, to make the best decision for them. And that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's making the same decision, right? Because the athletes are in different places. So in some cases, what Alex decides to do may not be the same from what somebody else decides to do. And we've got to look at it on a case by case instance and see what's best for that person, where they are in their careers, what's their priority. Is it making money? Is it legacy? Is it, being the best in the world? Is it, I don't know. And that depends on that specific athlete. And if you're making a blanket decision for everybody, then you're not doing your athletes any justice whatsoever.
Well, this has been a great conversation. Of course, I have a couple more questions, but I am out of time because I do these on my lunch hour now.
You got to go back to work, bro.
I do.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you so much for hanging out with us, Justin.
Yeah, dude.
Thank everybody in the chat for hanging out as well. Can't wait to see where Alex is going to go. And you have so many other athletes. We didn't even get into what's going on with them.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll have to have you back and we'll talk about those guys too.
Anytime, dude.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see everybody next time on Lunch with Friends or Lunch with the Clydesdale. Bye, guys.